Blood filled my mouth. Not my blood. The enemy's. I stood on a mountain of corpses, my chainsword still spinning, throwing red droplets in wide arcs across the battlefield. The word-bearers had fallen before us like wheat before the scythe. My brothers cheered, their howls mixing with the screams of the dying. Victory was ours, but something was wrong. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. The tremors ran up my arms, through my shoulders, making my armor rattle. I stared at my gauntlets, watching them quiver like leaves in a storm. Around me, the battle was ending. The traitors were broken, fleeing into the ruins of their fortress. We had won. So why couldn't I stop shaking? Tormund! Ragnar Ironmane's voice cut through the sound of dying engines and crackling fire. My pack leader moved through the smoke toward me, his armor scarred and dented from the fight. "Brother, are you hurt?" I tried to answer, the words stuck in my throat. All I could taste was blood, all I could smell was death, and beneath it all, something else, something wild and hungry that clawed at the inside of my skull. "I'm fine," I managed to say. The lie felt heavy on my tongue. Ragnar stopped in front of me. His eyes, ice blue like all the suns of Fenris, studied my face. I saw concern there. No, more than concern. Fear. "Your eyes," he said quietly. "Tormund, your eyes are yellowing." The words hit me like a bolter round to the chest. Yellow eyes. I knew what that meant. Every space wolf knew. It was the mark, the first sign, the beginning of the end. "It's nothing," I said, turning away. "Battle fatigue. We've been fighting for 6 days straight." "Look at me, brother." I couldn't. I wouldn't. Because if I looked at him, he would see the truth. He would see what I had been trying to ignore for weeks now, the hunger that never went away, the rage that burned hotter with each battle, the dreams of running through dark forests on 4 legs, hunting, killing, feeding. The beast was waking up inside me, and I didn't know if I could stop it. "My name is Tormund Frostblade. I am a grey hunter of the Space Wolves, 6th Legion, sons of Leman Russ. I have served the Allfather and the Emperor for 153 years. I have fought on 1,000 worlds. I have killed more enemies than I can count. I have stood beside my brothers through fire and ice, through victory and defeat. But now, for the first time in over a century, I was truly afraid. The journey back to our strike cruiser, the Wolf's Howl, felt like a death march. My pack brothers moved around me in silence. They knew. They could smell it on me. Space wolves have senses sharper than any normal human, sharper even than most space marines. We can smell fear. We can smell rage. And we can smell the change when it begins to take hold. Eric the Bold walked beside me. He had been my closest friend for nearly a century. We had fought together as blood claws, young and reckless. We had earned our place as grey hunters together. We had bled together, killed together, nearly died together more times than I could remember. "How long?" he asked quietly. I didn't pretend not to understand. "A month, maybe more. I'm not sure when it started." "You should have said something." "I thought I could control it." The words sounded stupid even as I spoke them. I thought if I just fought harder, prayed to Russ, meditated like the wolf priests taught us, I could beat it back. "No one beats the curse, Tormund. You know that. We all know that." He was right. Every space wolf carried the Canis helix in their gene seed. It gave us our enhanced senses, our strength, our speed. It made us the hunters we were meant to be. But it also carried the curse of the Wulfen, the beast that slept in every son of Russ, waiting for a moment of weakness to break free. I remembered my initiation so many years ago. I'd been a young warrior from the ice tribes of Fenris, barely more than a boy. I had fought and killed to earn the attention of the choosers of the slain. When I fell in battle, I thought I was dying. Instead, I woke in a place of stone and ice, surrounded by giants in grey armor. They gave me the cup of Wulfen. I drank. What happened next, I try not to remember. The pain was beyond anything I had ever known. My bones broke and reformed, my skin stretched and tore. Hair grew thick across my body. I lost my mind for a time, became something more beast than man. I hungered for raw meat and blood. I couldn't speak, couldn't think, could only feel rage and hunger. The test of Morkai came next. They threw me out into the frozen wilderness of Fenris, told me to find my way back to the Fang, the great fortress monastery of the Space Wolves. For weeks, I wandered through ice and snow, fighting monsters and the elements. But the worst fight was inside me. The beast wanted to stay in the wild. It wanted to hunt and kill and never return to the world of men. I fought it. Every day, every hour, I fought the beast inside me. Slowly, painfully, I found my humanity again. I learned to control the hunger, to cage the rage. I made it back to the Fang. They implanted the rest of the gene seed. The transformation stabilized, but the beast never truly went away. It was always there, always watching, always waiting. For 150 years, I had kept it caged. I had been strong enough. I had been in control, until now. The wolf priest met us in the medical bay of the Wolf's Howl. His name was Ulrich Thunderfang, and he had served the chapter for 3 centuries. His face was old and scarred, his beard gray as winter frost. He wore the bone-white armor of his office, decorated with runes and totems. On his belt hung the tools of his trade, ritual knives, vials of sacred oils, chains carved with ancient symbols. "Tormund Frostblade," he said. His voice was like grinding stone. "Come, let me see you." I followed him into a private chamber. The walls were covered in scrolls and parchments, records of the chapter's genetic heritage going back 10,000 years. On one table lay surgical instruments. On another, jars filled with things. I tried not to look at them too closely. "Remove your helmet," Ulrich commanded. I obeyed. The seals hissed as I lifted it free. Cool, recycled air hit my face. Ulrich stepped close, studying my eyes. He was silent for a long moment. Then he pulled back, his expression grave. "The yellowing is pronounced," he said. "When did you first notice it?" 3 weeks ago, maybe 4. "And you said nothing?" His voice hardened. "You know the protocols, Grey Hunter. Any sign of the curse must be reported immediately." "I thought I could fight it," I said. The excuse sounded weak even to my own ears. "Fight it!" Ulrich's laugh was bitter. "We all fight it, Tormund. Every day, every moment. That is the burden we carry as sons of Russ. But when the curse takes hold, when it begins to manifest, there is no fighting it. There is only endurance or surrender." He moved to a chest in the corner, pulled out a heavy chain. Runes glowed faintly along its length. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Binding you. The curse feeds on stress, on rage, on the heat of battle. You will remain confined until we can determine how far the change has progressed." "No," the word came out as a growl. "I'm still in control. I can still serve." "You tore the throat from a word-bearer's champion with your bare hands today," Ulrich said quietly. "Ragnar told me. You bit through his armor, Tormund, through ceramite. Do you remember doing that?" I didn't. The memory of the battle was hazy, covered in a red mist. I remembered fighting, I remembered killing, but the details were gone. "The change is accelerating," Ulrich continued. Your canine teeth have elongated further. Your fingernails are thickening. If you look closely at your hands, you'll see the skin is becoming leathery. These are the signs, Tormund. The beast is rising. And if we don't bind you now, you may hurt someone. You may hurt your brothers. That thought, more than anything, made me submit. I let Ulrich wrap the chain around me. The runes burned cold against my skin. They wouldn't stop me if I truly wanted to break free. A space marine's strength could shatter such chains easily. But they would remind me. They would help me remember who I was, what I was fighting for. I've seen this before, Ulrich said as he worked. Many times. The curse is the price we pay for our gifts. Some of us carry it all our lives without succumbing. Others, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Is there any hope? I asked. Any way to stop it? Prayer, meditation, remembering your oaths and your honor. Sometimes that's enough to slow the change. Sometimes. He paused. But Tormund, you need to understand. Once the curse begins to manifest like this, it rarely stops. It may take days, it may take weeks, but eventually the beast will win. What happens then? Ulrich met my eyes. Then you become Wulfen, and you are no longer the man you were. They locked me in a holding cell deep in the ship's bowels. The walls were thick ceramite, reinforced with blessed steel. The door was heavy enough to hold a dreadnought, not to keep me in necessarily, but to give me time to remember myself if I started to lose control. I sat in the darkness and tried to hold on to who I was. My name is Tormund Frostblade. I'm a grey hunter. I'm a son of Russ. I'm a defender of humanity. I'm a weapon in the Emperor's hand. But the words felt hollow, empty, like they belonged to someone else. The hunger was getting worse. Food tasted wrong. The cooked meat the serfs brought me made my stomach turn. I wanted something else. Something raw. Something that still had life in it, blood pumping through its veins. The thought disgusted me, but it also made my mouth water. My senses were going wild. I could hear conversations 3 decks above me. I could smell the fear scent of the human crew when they passed near my cell. Every sound was too loud, every smell too strong. It was overwhelming, drowning me in sensation. And the dreams. God, Emperor, the dreams. Every time I closed my eyes, I was running, not on 2 legs, but on 4. Through forests thick with snow, the moon hung huge and white in the sky. I could smell prey ahead of me, warm blood, beating hearts. My pack ran beside me, howling their joy. We were hunters, we were predators, we were free. I woke screaming, clawing at the walls. Days passed, or maybe weeks. Time became strange, slippery. Sometimes I was clear-headed, fully aware. Other times I lost myself in fugue states, coming back to awareness with no memory of what had happened. Once I found blood under my fingernails. I didn't know where it came from. I didn't want to know. Eric came to visit me. He stood outside the cell, watching me through the small window in the door. "You look like hell, brother," he said. I tried to smile. It felt wrong on my face. My teeth were too long. They got in the way. "How's the pack?" I asked. "Missing you. We have a new mission coming up. Orc infestation on a hive world. Ragnar wants you with us." "I can't." The words hurt to say. "You know I can't. Ulrich says you're stable enough for one more fight. He'll be watching you. If things go wrong, he'll pull you out." "And if I lose control? If I hurt one of you? Then we put you down." Eric's voice was flat, emotionless. "But that won't happen. You're strong, Tormund. Stronger than the beast inside you." I wanted to believe him, but I could feel the truth in my bones. The beast was winning. Every day it grew stronger while I grew weaker. The man I had been was fading like smoke. "I'll come," I said. "One last fight. For the All-Father. For Russ. For the pack." "For the pack," Eric echoed. The drop pod hit the surface of the hive world like a meteor. The impact would have killed a normal human instantly. For us, it was just another day. The doors blew open and we charged out into hell. Orcs, thousands of them, a green tide washing over the ruins of the hive city. They roared and charged, waving their crude weapons. We met them with bolter fire and blade. I felt good. Better than I had in weeks. The moment my feet touched the ground, something inside me settled. This was what I was made for. This was purpose. This was clarity. My bolter barked in my hands, cutting down greenskins with precise shots. My chainsword sang its battle hymn, tearing through orc flesh like paper. Beside me, my brothers fought with the practiced ease of warriors who had killed together for decades. Then the pain hit. It started in my chest, a burning sensation like someone had poured molten metal into my lungs. I gasped, stumbled. An orc saw my weakness and charged. I killed it on instinct, but I barely felt the impact. The pain was spreading, racing through my body like wildfire. My bones were moving. I could feel them shifting under my skin, breaking and reforming. My spine arched. My skull felt like it was being crushed. I tried to scream, but what came out was more like a howl. "Tormund," Eric's voice, distant and distorted. "Brother, what's wrong?" I couldn't answer. My armor was too tight. It was crushing me. I reached for the seals, trying to release them, but my hands weren't working right. My fingers were longer than they should be, thicker, ending in claws that punched through my gauntlets. The world became a blur of pain and confusion. I was fighting, I knew that much, but I wasn't fighting like a space marine anymore. I was fighting like an animal. My chainsword fell from my hands. I didn't need it. I had claws. I had teeth. An orc tried to split my skull with an axe. I caught the weapon in one hand, felt the blade bite into my palm. I didn't care. With my other hand, I grabbed the orc's head and squeezed. The skull popped like a ripe fruit. It felt good. Too good. Another orc. I was on it before it could raise its gun. My jaws closed on its throat. I tasted blood, hot and coppery. Some distant part of me was horrified, but the rest of me, the part that was taking over, felt only satisfaction. This was right. This was natural. This was what I was meant to be. The battle became a red blur. I killed and killed and killed. Sometimes with my claws, sometimes with my teeth, sometimes just with my hands, tearing things apart with strength that shouldn't have been possible. Around me, my pack fought. They were trying to keep up with me, trying to protect me, but I didn't need protection. I was unstoppable. When the killing finally stopped, I stood in a crater of bodies. Orc blood covered me from head to toe. My armor was ruined, torn apart by my own changing body. I was breathing hard, my lungs working like bellows. And I felt amazing. The rage was gone. The hunger was satisfied. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, I felt complete. Tormund. Ragnar's voice, careful and controlled. "Can you understand me?" I turned to look at him. My pack leader stood with his sword drawn, not threatening but ready. Around him, the rest of the pack had formed a circle. They were watching me, wary, afraid. "Yes," I said, or tried to say. What came out was more growl than word. "We need to get you back to the ship. Ulrich is waiting. Can you walk with us?" I wanted to say yes. I wanted to prove I was still myself, still in control, but when I tried to move, my body didn't respond the way it should. My balance was wrong. My center of gravity had shifted. I took a step and nearly fell. Eric moved to catch me. I snarled at him without meaning to, and he jerked back. "Easy, brother," he said. "We're pack. You know us." Pack. The word resonated somewhere deep inside me. These were my pack brothers. Mine. I would kill anything that threatened them, rip it apart with my bare hands, tear out its throat with my teeth. The thoughts scared me, or they should have scared me. But they didn't. They felt right. "Get him in the Thunderhawk," Ragnar ordered. "Chain him if you have to, but carefully. He's still our brother." They approached me slowly, weapons lowered but ready. I let them. I could have fought. I could have killed them all, but I didn't want to. Not yet. They were pack. Pack was safe. They got chains around me. Not the ritual chains Ulrich had used, but heavy combat chains meant for restraining prisoners. I let them. It seemed easier. And somewhere deep inside, the part of me that was still Tormund Frostblade knew this was necessary. The flight back to the wolf's howl was a nightmare of sensation. Every sound was deafening, every smell overwhelming. I could hear the heartbeats of every person on the Thunderhawk. I could smell their fear, their sweat, their blood pumping just beneath their skin. I was so hungry, the chains bit into my flesh as I struggled against them. I wasn't trying to escape. Not really. It was just instinct. The beast inside me didn't like being restrained. It wanted to run, to hunt, to kill. "Hold on, Tormund," Eric said from somewhere nearby. "We're almost there." But I wasn't Tormund anymore. Not really. Tormund was fading, like a dream upon waking. I could still remember him, the man I'd been, the warrior, the brother. But he felt distant, unimportant. What mattered now was the hunt, the kill, the warm taste of blood. They locked me in a reinforced holding cell. This one was different from before, stronger, built to contain something dangerous. The walls were thick adamantium. The door was blast-proof. Red runes glowed along every surface, ancient wards against corruption and mutation. I paced the cell like a caged animal, because that's what I was becoming. An animal, a beast. Time lost all meaning. Sometimes I was aware of myself, of what was happening to me. Other times I was lost in the change, feeling my body betray me cell by cell. My muscles were growing, swelling with unnatural strength. My bones were fusing in new configurations. Thick hair was covering my skin. My face was elongating, becoming more lupine. I watched it happen in the polished surface of the cell wall, saw myself transform from space marine to monster. My eyes, once human, were now fully yellow. My teeth were fangs. My hands were claws. My body was massive, hunched, caught between man and wolf. I tried to hold on to my memories. My name, my brothers, my oaths. But they were slipping away like water through my fingers. Who was Tormund Frostblade? I couldn't quite remember. There was a man, once, a warrior. He had brothers. He had fought for something. The Emperor? The Allfather? The names meant nothing. What was real was the hunger, the rage, the need to hunt. Ulrich came to visit me. He stood outside the cell, watching through the reinforced window. His ancient eyes were sad. "I'm sorry, Tormund," he said. "I had hoped we could slow the change. But it's progressing faster than I've ever seen. Your body, your mind, everything is transforming." I tried to speak, tried to tell him I understood, that I didn't blame him, but words wouldn't come. My throat couldn't form them anymore. All that came out was a growl. "Can you still understand me?" Ulrich asked. I nodded. Yes, for now. But I didn't know how much longer that would last. "The Great Wolf has been informed. He's considering options. We could give you the Emperor's peace, a quick death with honor. or ... quote. He paused. Or we take you to Fenris. Let you join the other Wulfen in service to the chapter. Service? The word stirred something in me. Yes, I could still serve. Still fight. Even like this. I growled again, trying to communicate. Please, let me fight. Let me be useful. Don't kill me. Not yet. Ulrich seemed to understand. He nodded slowly. I will speak to the great wolf. But Tormund, you need to understand. What you're becoming, it's not life as you knew it. You'll be a weapon, nothing more. Pointed at the enemy and unleashed. No honor, no glory, just killing. I didn't care. If I could still serve my brothers, still protect the pack, that was enough. The ship changed course. We were heading to Fenris. The journey took weeks, or maybe days. I couldn't tell anymore. Time had become meaningless. I existed from moment to moment, lost in a fog of hunger and rage and pain. My transformation was nearly complete. When I looked at my reflection now, I barely recognized anything human in what looked back. I was massive, easily twice the size I had been as a space marine. My body was a twisted mix of man and wolf. My armor had long since been removed. It didn't fit anymore, and I would have destroyed it anyway. The man I'd been was almost gone. Sometimes, in moments of clarity, I could remember fragments. A name, a face, brothers in gray armor, but they felt like someone else's memories. Dreams from another life. What was real was this: the cell, the hunger, the rage, the chains, and the voice. Somewhere deep inside, buried under layers of beast and fury, a small voice still whispered. It said things I didn't understand anymore. Honor, duty, loyalty. They were just sounds, but they were important sounds. Somehow I knew that. We arrived at Fenris. They kept me in stasis for the landing, drugged into unconsciousness. When I woke, I was being moved through corridors carved from ice and stone. The Fang, the great fortress monastery of the Space Wolves. I had trained here once, lived here. This had been my home. Now it felt like a prison. They brought me before Logan Grimnar, the great wolf himself. The chapter master of the Space Wolves stood on a dais, his ancient wolf cloak draped around his massive shoulders. He looked at me without fear, without disgust, just sadness. Tormund Frostblade, he said. His voice was thunder. Grey Hunter, veteran of 1,000 battles, you have served the chapter with honor for over a century. I tried to respond, tried to stand at attention, to show respect, but my body wouldn't obey. I was on all fours now. That felt more natural, more right. The curse has taken you, Grimnar continued. Through no fault of your own, this is the price we all risk paying as sons of Russ. Some of us are stronger, some of us are lucky, but all of us carry the wolf inside. You are not the first to fall. You will not be the last. Somewhere in the beast, the man stirred. I knew these words. They were important. I could grant you the Emperor's peace, Grimnar said. Send you to the Allfather with your honor intact. Many would argue that's mercy. But, he leaned forward, there are whispers, omens. The Wulfen of the 13th Company have begun to return after 10,000 years. Some say it's a sign that Russ himself will come back to us. That the wolf is not a curse, but a gift. A weapon forged for mankind's darkest hour. He stood, walked down from the dais. This close, I could smell him. Alpha, pack leader, the strongest. Can you still fight, Tormund? He asked. Can you still serve? Yes. The word burst from somewhere deep inside me. Not spoken, not really, but a howl that meant yes. I could fight, I would fight, for the pack, for the chapter, for the All-Father. Grimnar nodded. Then you will fight. Not as you were, but as you are now. You will join a Wulfen pack. When the chapter calls upon you, you will be unleashed. You will be the beast that tears at our enemies' throats. And perhaps, in your own way, you will find honor again. He raised his hand. You are still a son of Russ, Tormund Frostblade. The wolf has not destroyed you. It has changed you. May the All-Father watch over you. May your fangs forever be sharp, and your hunting grounds endless. They took me to the lower levels of the Fang. Here, in chambers carved from the mountain's roots, other Wulfen were kept. I could smell them before I saw them. Wolf scent. Pack scent. Mine. The pack was small, maybe a dozen of us. All space marines who had succumbed to the curse. Some were recent transformations like me. Others had been Wulfen for years, even decades. We recognized each other instantly. Not as individuals, not with names or ranks, but as pack. A wolf priest oversaw us. His name was lost to me, but he smelled of authority and ancient power. He kept us in check, his presence somehow calming the rage that always burned in us. When he spoke, we listened. When he commanded, we obeyed. This was our life now. Waiting in the dark, waiting for the call to battle. The first time they unleashed us, I barely remember. There was the cell, then there was a transport, then there was a battlefield, and then there was only killing. We tore through the enemy like a storm. I don't know who they were. Chaos cultists, maybe. Or traitors. It didn't matter. They were prey. We were predators. That's all that mattered. The pack moved as one, a single organism of tooth and claw. We didn't need orders. We didn't need tactics. We just knew. This one goes for the throat. That one goes for the legs. Work together. Hunt together. Kill together. It was beautiful. When the killing stopped, we were covered in blood. The wolf priest gathered us, herded us back to the transport. We went docilely. The rage was satisfied. The hunger was fed. We were content. Back in our cells, I lay in the darkness. The beast was happy. It had hunted. It had killed. This was a good existence. But somewhere deep inside, a small voice wept. It mourned for the man who had been, for Tormund Frostblade, who had dreams and thoughts and brothers he loved. That man was gone now, buried under layers of fur and fang. Or was he? Sometimes, in the quiet moments between battles, I could almost remember, not details, not faces or names, but feelings, a sense of belonging, of purpose, of something more than just hunt and kill and feed. Once, Eric came to see me. I recognized him instantly, though I couldn't have said his name. Pack, brother. Mine. He stood outside my cell, looking at me through the window. I don't know if you can understand me, Tormund, he said. His voice was thick with emotion. But I had to see you, had to make sure you were still something. I moved to the window, pressed my face against the glass. Yes, I'm here. Still here. Somewhere. We fought together for 100 years, Eric continued. You saved my life more times than I can count. You were the best of us, Tormund, the bravest, the strongest, and now... His voice broke. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I wanted to tell him it wasn't his fault, that I didn't blame him, that I was not happy, exactly. But serving, still fighting for the pack, for the chapter, in my own way. But I couldn't form the words. All I could do was press my clawed hand against the glass where his hand was. Brother, pack, always. Eric stood there for a long time. Then he turned and walked away. I watched him go, and somewhere deep inside, the man I had been screamed in grief. More battles came, more killing. The pack was deployed again and again, wherever the fighting was fiercest. We were the chapter's secret weapon, the beast they kept in reserve for when normal tactics wouldn't work. Sometimes, in the middle of a fight, I would have a moment of perfect clarity. I would see my brothers, the grey hunters and blood claws of the space wolves, fighting beside us. I would remember that once I had been like them. Once I had worn armor and carried a bolter and spoke the oaths and sang the sagas. Those moments hurt. They hurt so much. Because they reminded me of everything I had lost. But then the rage would return, the hunger would rise, and I would lose myself again in the simple joy of tearing enemies apart with my claws. Is this what I am now? The question sometimes surfaced in my mind during the rare quiet moments. Is this all I'll ever be? A weapon, a beast, or am I something more? The wolf priests seemed to think so. They treated us with respect, not just as animals to be unleashed. They spoke to us, even though we rarely understood. They reminded us of who we had been. They told us we were still sons of Russ, still space wolves, still brothers. And sometimes, when the wolf priest spoke the old sagas, something inside me stirred. I didn't understand the words, but I understood the feeling, the pride, the honor, the sense of belonging to something greater than myself. Maybe that was enough. Maybe I didn't need to be a man anymore. Maybe being the beast was its own kind of service, its own kind of honor. The years passed. I don't know how many. Time meant nothing to me anymore. There was only the cell and the battle, the waiting and the killing. The pack changed around me. Some Wulfen fell in battle. New ones joined us, space marines who had succumbed to the curse just as I had. I became one of the oldest Wulfen in our pack. The wolf priest sometimes called me Iron Howl now. I didn't know what that meant, but it seemed to be important. When younger Wulfen joined us, I helped teach them, not with words, I had lost those long ago, but by example, how to move, how to hunt, how to kill efficiently. I was good at it. Being Wulfen, being a beast. It suited me, but still in the darkest hours, the man's ghost lingered. It whispered things I couldn't quite understand. Names, oaths, memories of a life that seemed like a dream. Tormund Frostblade, Grey Hunter, brother. Who was that? I couldn't remember. Not really. But the name felt important, sacred somehow. One day, or night, or month, I couldn't tell. The cell door opened. Not for battle, for something else. The wolf priest stood there with another figure, a space marine in grey armor. He was familiar, very familiar. He smelled like pack, like home. Iron Howl, the wolf priest said, you have a visitor. Your old pack brother came to see you. The space marine stepped forward. He removed his helmet, and I saw a face I should have known, should have remembered. Old, scarred, but those eyes, those ice blue eyes. Tormund, he said, it's me. Eric, do you remember? Eric, the name meant something, something important. He talked to me for a long time, told me stories about battles we had fought together, about brothers who had fallen, about victories and defeats, about the pack. I listened, not understanding the words, but understanding the feeling. This was my brother, my pack. He had come to remind me of who I had been. When he finally left, I was alone again in my cell, but something had changed. The ghost of the man inside me was stronger, more present. I am Tormund Frostblade. The thought came clear and sharp. I am, or was, a grey hunter of the space wolves. I am a son of Russ. I am Wulfen. I am still here, still fighting, still serving my brothers. In my own way, I had found peace. The alarm bells rang through the Fang. Battle, the enemy was coming, the chapter was mobilizing, and they needed their beasts. The cell doors opened. The pack gathered, our wolf priest at our head. We moved through the corridors, following him to the hangar bays. Space Marines in gray armor watched us pass. Some with fear, some with pity, some with something else. Respect, maybe. Recognition that we had given everything for the chapter. We boarded the Thunderhawks. The journey to the battlefield was short. When the doors opened, I smelled blood and death and fury. Perfect. We charged into battle side by side. The pack, always the pack. I didn't know who we were fighting. Didn't care. They were the enemy. They threatened my brothers, my chapter, my pack. That was all I needed to know. My claws tore through armor. My fangs crushed bone. I killed and killed and killed, and somewhere deep inside, the ghost of Tormund Frostblade whispered a prayer to the All-Father. Let my claws be sharp. Let my service be eternal. Let me die in battle, as a son of Russ should. The prayer was answered by the sound of my own howling, mixing with the howls of my pack. We were the beast. We were the fury. We were the weapon the chapter needed, and we were still, in our own way, space wolves. We charged forward and the enemy broke before us, as it always did, as it always would. Because we were the Wulfen, and we would never stop fighting. Somewhere in the chaos of battle, I felt a moment of perfect clarity. I saw my brothers fighting around me, Grey Hunters and Bloodclaws, Wolfguard and Wolf Lords. They were magnificent, powerful, human despite their transhuman nature. And I saw us, the Wulfen, the beasts, the cursed. We were different. We had lost so much. Our humanity, our identity, our very selves. But we were still here, still fighting, still protecting our brothers with every ounce of savagery we possessed. Perhaps that was enough. Perhaps that was honor. I threw back my head and howled, and the sound echoed across the battlefield. It was a sound of rage, of grief, of triumph. It was the sound of a space wolf who had paid the ultimate price but kept fighting anyway. It was the sound of the Wulfen. And deep inside, buried under all the fur and fang and fury, Tormund Frostblade smiled. He was still serving, still protecting his brothers, still a son of Russ, just different now. The beast and the man, forever locked together, forever fighting, forever howling at the stars, for the All-Father, for Russ, for the pack, always for the pack. The battle raged on. The killing continued, and somewhere in the frozen halls of the Fang, new initiates were drinking from the cup of Wulfen, beginning their own long fight against the beast inside. Some would win, some would lose, but all would fight. Because that was what it meant to be a space wolf. And that was the truth of the curse. It was not the end. It was a transformation, a terrible one, a painful one, but still a transformation into something that could serve, that could fight, that could protect. The man became the wolf, and the wolf, in its own savage way, remained true to the man's oaths. I tore through another enemy, my claws red with blood. The pack fought beside me. My brothers, the ones in armor, fought beside us. We were all part of something greater, all sons of Russ, all servants of the Emperor. Different, yes. Changed, yes. But still brothers. Still the space wolves. Still fighting in the grim darkness of the far future, where there is only war. I howled again, and my pack howled with me. The sound was primal, savage, beautiful. It was the sound of the Wulfen, and it would echo through the galaxy until the stars themselves burned out. For Russ, for the All-Father, for the Emperor, for the pack, always, always for the pack.